let's start to implement our interfaces. So you see that this package, this is the address information service implementation extended our interface definition. So you see the convention of the Spring Boot. Normally, when you implement something in the service definitions, then you normally extend it as like give it the name the impl, IMPL impl. This is the convention. So we already define our repository. You see here the AutoWare, the bean injections, and then we call the our save methods, which we already defined in the interface class here. So as input, if you try to save it the object, the address information, you put it as a object address information as the input parameter. So we call the repository save method and then do here. So find all address information from the database which you injected, and here's find all methods from the CRUD repository. So you just a little bit checks. You can do more control here, or maybe you can sort your list or ascending or descending order depending on the attribute list in the address object from here. So maybe you can sort by or filter by or group by something like that here from the address type or city name or road type, even though or the postal code you can group it, or we can make such a be how can say make optimize your search conditions when you are searching something from the database or you presenting database. What's important for the pagination. So here the find only single address information for a specific user. So we find it, we say find all from the good repository methods, and here is the delete methods, and then use if is not null. If I first you see that the important things here when you load your address information first, and then and if his is not null, then delete the information. If he's null, then it's still that there's no null pointer, so we return your empty object instance. So that's the, and here's the update information. So first you look for your address, a specific address, and take the address information, and then you if he is not at address and address ID is not exist, then do not save any update. If it exists, then update information from your domain, the domain objects for your input parameter. And same thing is here. You see the registration implementation. We implements our interface definitions, annotated service, and the service implementation is same thing. Is input as a user registration domain, and class model is saved here, and the find all the user registrations, and then here the find specific user registration by the user registration ID, and here the get the user registration specific user registration, and delete the specific user registration ID, and update the same thing. You load specific user registration, and then change your update information or edit informations. And here the user role information is exactly the same. Exactly the same things. We implement our interface with this class, and then we call the specific user role repository and the save methods, and then find all methods, and then you find one, and then when you find one specific one, and you call the find one methods, and update the delete or and update the specific records from the specific domain objects, domain entries. So that means what we did, we define our models, we build the repositories, we define our own interfaces, and then we implement the interfaces. Now what we need to do, we have to define our controllers. So this is a little bit tricky part to get the controller part. So that means what I did here, every domain has own controller. So that means let's see, have a start to the controller. This is the welcome controller. Just when the application is started, that will start the empty URL. So that means when the application is started, it goes to the index JSP page. So the spec then is viewing the main page, the application main page part, and after that you go to the specific controller part. I will show you the GSP page how it look like. So that means when the application started, it will start with your settle sublet context path, your machine name or your domain machine name, and then the port number and application name, and then and so on and so forth, depending which you are. So but application will start with the index page. I will show you how the index page is implemented. So here is the address controller, the same thing. So that means you index your root URL, and then you go to the address information, and then they see that we auto-aware our implemented classes, implemented services, and then we viewed it model and view this. So you call it this the implemented service which you already implemented, and then in the implementation class, and you have as a hash maps, and we put it like as a key value. So here is the your keys, and here is the your list of addresses, the existing addresses from the your database. So he will put it here. So when the list is put in here, the view will be the show address information. So here is all of course here is will need to the our resource folder, and then our application dot main dot resource dot web app and JSP folder directory, and then you see the show address information. Where is it? Show address JSP information. So I will go the detail of that one. So let me finish first the controller definitions. So this is the so when the URL, the root URL, go to the address information, and if you pass the show address information, and then it's redirect to the very fast how many existing address information record is in the database. So here is add information. So I said the definition is input parameter the domain object, and return it like, and if you saved it, and then redirect the page to the your show page, the list of address information. Here the edit address information. So you bypass the root URL and give the address ID, and look for the address ID exist, and then if it is exist, then you put your domain, your update informations. So you set all the necessary existing. This is the your input parameter, and you get it existing information. Then it's and so on and so forth, and it is view the edit address information. So this is the GSP name. You see that the necessary edit address information here, this address information. That's why I said this is the professional way. We divided completely as a template, and then inject these pages or include these pages with the main pages. So here is the edit information. You see here the delete information. So you pass the ID and then delete the record or a specific record from the database. So exactly the same information and the same implementation for the user registration controller. So here then this is the user registration controller. We define, we inject our beans, service beans, and then we show all the user registration when you are go to these links, and then get and edit the user registration, and the same thing is update the user registration. Even though you can mode control which part is possible or not update, is not possible to update, or which part has to be some restriction to update it is the but even though we can put it like that's I said the user role can control everything, even though in attribute level. If you say this user is only allowed to update only the password or only the usernames, that's things you can do with the control the user role models. Yeah, then that means it's look like all control by the user role, which role can do what part of the application, which part of the application he can or she can control it. So